Hello.
Hey, we are live. Welcome to episode 7 of the Manifest Actual Play. For those of you just joining us, a lot has happened. This is an actual play of the soon to be released Manifest the RPG, successful on Kickstarter. You can go pre order now, go check it out. And we are continuing with the journey of Kinsey, Pax, and Roland. Um, who were they're criminals. They're on the run. They're kind of indebted to the Dead Man's gang who broke them out of the prison convoy they were on. But they don't like the Dead Man's gang because they're really murderous and kind of crazy and pretty cruel. So they're hatching plots to try and kind of dismantle the Dead Man's gang from the inside. Meanwhile, they are trying their hardest not to become incarcerated again. Um, Throughout this, the most recent stuff that's happened is that they were sent with a member of the Dead Man's gang named Miguel Reyes to meet up with a different man named Salvador Alston to acquire some big guns for an ambush they're planning. Um, Thing is, on the journey there, Miguel got really injured, and so they kind of had to be the front of the operation with Salvador. Salvador didn't really trust them, and then after they all got on a boat, the MF Merriweather heading south down towards deeper into Alanistead territory, the Salvador got murdered and they had to try and figure out what exactly was going on. They befriended a marshal of all people, Donna Kane, and the owner of the MF Merriweather, Francis Calderon, I believe is his name. I didn't have his name up on my notes. Good, I got it. I remembered. So with the help of these two characters, they were able to figure out who directly killed Salvador Alston and have some inclination as to why, since a calling card was left behind with Salvador's body, two spurs painted red, which, according to Francis, indicates that it was a family hit that kind of indicates that Salvador and all of his associates are no longer friends of the family, and some of them should probably watch their backs. Um, After befriending Donna Kane and solving this murder together, they found themselves on the top deck of the MF Merriweather drinking, and Donna suddenly realized that she thought she had seen Kinsey's face before, possibly on a wanted poster. And then Donna, having kind of listened in on some of their conversations and interacted with them over the last day, started to piece things together and realized that these three would-be deputies were actually runaway criminals. And she didn't want to. She's off duty. She decided she wasn't going to act on that knowledge. She gave them some advice, and then Pax, in just kind of a, a sudden need to compulsion to tell the truth, told Donna that the infamous outlaw Miguel Reyes is on board, and uh, you know, it had kind of been implied that it would be great if Donna took care of that. In his attempt to extricate himself from this awkward situation, prior to realizing that Pax had kind of spilled the beans to the marshal, um, Roland had left the top deck, and that's kind of where we've left off. Donna said she was going to go get some shut eye because she was pretty drunk and it was 5 in the morning. You guys hadn't slept yet because you were too busy solving a murder, and so she's gone off now too. And so Roland, you walked away before you had a chance to hear Pax telling Donna kind of everything. At least that Miguel's there. So what are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, I trust, my friends to sort of work their way through that situation while still allowing us to continue our whole thing unimpeded. So I've gone to talk to Miguel because Donna did mention that people know our faces, and I have repeatedly taken shit for wanting to put on a disguise every time we go to town. And I've been constructing an elaborate, it's not really a scheme, it's more just a lie, on my way there.
Okay. So yeah, it's very early in the morning. You knock on Miguel's door, and there's no response at first. And you knock again. A little
Oh
bit
no,
louder.
I just go in
Oh,
after I
it's
knock the
locked.
first time.
You try to open it up. It is locked. Which then there's like a voice from inside being like, what? Who's there?
It's me. Open the door.
What are you? And there's like a rummaging in there, and like you see the light click on under the threshold, and then sleepy-eyed Miguel like cracks the door open, looks over your shoulder, and he goes, "The hell are you doing? What time's?"
I'm here to talk, I say, as I just push past him into the room, hoping to God that he's still injured enough that he can't stop me.
So he does seem much more like in control of himself. Like he seems stable and like sturdy, but he is super tired. So he doesn't like really put up a fight. But you do like realize when you kind of push him off to the side, instead of him like seeming weak or frail, he just kind of like moves off to the side and like rubs his eyes, and you realize like his bandages have been like removed. His wounds seem to have almost completely fully healed. You think that these 2 days of rests have done a great deal for his injuries, and he like looks and like glances in the hall for a second to make sure no one else is there, and then shuts the door and he goes, What is it? Couldn't it wait till later?"
Sit down. I'm gonna tell you a story and you're gonna listen to me.
Sure. Don't make it long. I might fall asleep.
Well, that's too bad. It's very important. So I assume you're aware that Salvador Alston is on the outs with the Gatti family. No, you didn't know that. That's right, because you guys don't check your work about your sources or really pay attention to anything about being criminals other than shooting anyone who gets in your way. So that's what I found out. And the reason I found that out is because, he seemed off and iffy. And when that happens, I check up. And as it turns out, there was a Gatti family agent on this ship, Miss Emmeline Yang, and Salvador intended to sell out the Dead Man's Gang to the Gatti family to get back into their good graces. You probably didn't know that either, right? I don't give him a chance to respond.
Okay.
So, seeing the situation we were in, I orchestrated a breakdown of communications between Mr. Alston and Miss Yang, which resulted in Mr. Alston's death, because that seemed like the best course of action, given his intent to sell us down the literal river. Of course, Miss Yang, being aware of what was going on, couldn't stay, and so now she's dead, as well as her accomplice on this ship. Do you know why all of this happens, Miguel? All of this happens because you stupid fucking idiots are fine showing your faces and giving your names everywhere we go. That's why you need me and my skills and my friend's skills, because the 7 of you can't go anywhere. So you're gonna start listening to me when I tell you things, because I'm good at this.
Yeah, you can go ahead and roll manipulate. You can have a +2. You are up against an 8.
Cool. I'm gonna spend 2 of this grit to play to the gallery.
All right.
Great. That lets me count the 16, which then exploded, and I have 4 net hits over an 8.
Nice.
Well,
Miguel sits there for a second, like, as you finish up, he seems to, like, kind of fully wake up and, like, harden in the face a little bit. And then he kind of, like, sizes you up and he goes, I can see what Rufus likes about you. All right. Roland, you made your point. You're smart. You know how to handle yourself. I'll ease off for a bit. Well, I have one question for you. With Salvador dead and the Gatti family missing an agent, what's your grand plan now? We need them guns if we're going to be able to keep going forward with Rufus's plan.
I guess we'll just have to find Salvador's man in Wilburton and handle the deal ourselves.
All right? I'll let you take the lead on this. You ain't wrong. Talking ain't my strong suit. And I'll leave most of the thinking to the boss. So, you done good. I'll ease off. Can I go back to bed? Or do you want to berate me some more and try my patience?
Oh no, I'm done. When we leave, I'm putting a disguise on you. And I leave before he can protest further.
All right. So Kinsey and Pax, after Donna took her leave, Francis, like, dramatically, like, stretches and goes, it is getting quiet. Well, I suppose early at this point. I believe I'll be turning in myself as well. Good evening or morning to y'all, depending on how much longer you're going to be around.
and good morning to you, sir. Thank you for the company.
And he makes his way off the deck, so it's just Kinsey and Pax.
So, allying ourselves with the marshals now, I see. Not that I'm criticizing. I just think it's a bold gambit.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I suppose we won't know how it turns out until it turns out.
Well, So, I don't know about you, but I was gonna die in the Lana stead.
Hmm.
So,
Well, I mean, you're not alone there.
yeah. So, and there's no way that doesn't keep if I get caught.
Sure.
But so, I mean, I think you're probably a good person. You seem like it, and Roland is also a person, and
Seems to be on the right side of things most of the time, from what I can tell.
yeah, and so I thought if there was a possibility that you could find amnesty, we should try. So the worst thing that happens is we get into a gunfight, but that kind of always seems to happen anyway.
We seem to fare not badly as long as it's not against a skunk ape.
Yeah, well, even then. So
I suppose so. It's a good thing that we had our friends with us.
I'm not like Roland. I don't really spin. I don't really lie.
Mm.
Like maybe selective truth, But most of the time I find being honest is to the right people the right thing to do. And
Well,
if we had gotten caught in that lie with the marshal, she would have just probably arrested us or shot us, or one and then the other. I guess probably the arrest and then the shooting. But so I'm sorry that I did that.
That's, I find even when I do tell a lie, whether it's to the right person or to the wrong person, it usually doesn't turn out well for me in the end of it all. So, I try to be as truthful as possible. Or, yes, I suppose, if you have experience of telling the right people the right thing, then I trust your judgment. It hasn't gotten us in trouble so far.
I think she's a good person, and in a different life, I would have liked to think she'd have been my friend. So that's kind of it. That's why I don't ever say anything when people ask me questions, and I just give them sort of that look. Usually they just kind of assume what they want to hear. Survival, they can't turn your words against you if you don't say it, I guess.
That's true. It's perhaps a lesson I should take heed of.
Maybe, I guess. I don't know. Just, sorry, I guess.
No need to apologize, but I will begin taking note of your silences, and I think I trust your judgment for the time being. And if you need somebody to fill those silences, I'm quite good at that.
I know.
Well, one more drink before we go to bed, a nightcap?
Sure.
Sure.
And
I have an orange juice, and he has whatever he's drinking.
Whatever bottled Calderon left on the bar, I suppose.
It's very nice. It's a very nice gin.
Cheers to you, Pax. Or is it Patience?
No, Pax.
Pax, all right.
Patricia's, is Patricia, Patience, that they're all kind of what people will believe. It's weird. Just call me Pax.
Pax it is.
Okay. You too.
Clink.
All right. So all three of you can have a grit for excellent role playing.
I can't have a grit for excellent role playing.
Well, stop hoarding your grit.
I punch Kinsey, then I spend a grit, and now I get one.
Kinsey to twist the knife.
Oh, jeez.
I shoot the moon to throw Kinsey overboard. Addie, your mic is bumping up against your collar. I'm sorry. I didn't want to do it during your emotional scene, but it was.
Should have.
Yeah, it was bumping. Sorry. Okay. So, the next day, I assume you guys, since you stayed up until 5 a.m, rest happens. Yes, no one's trying to power through and stay awake forever.
I don't think so. No.
No.
Cool. So you are able to rest up. I can't remember if any of you took any damage, but if you did, you get to heal some of it. And then the next day, or the same day technically, you wake up a little bit later morning, early afternoon. Probably actually a little bit past noon. You wake up and the horn going, indicating that you are approaching Wilburton. You're getting close to your destination. You have anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes before you get there.
Great. So I would like to put disguises on everyone so people don't recognize us.
Suppose it's hard to argue with that.
It is hard to argue with that, Kinsey.
Am I going to also have to remember an alias, or...?
Yes. You're a wanted criminal, Kinsey. You cannot just tell people your name. It defeats the purpose of the disguise.
Again, hard to argue. Could you come up with one for me, perhaps?
Ken Charlotte. It feels like it's easy for you to remember.
Hello, I'm Ken. Ken, yes. I think I've got it.
Great. So what's your name?
Ken Charlotte.
Yep.
I swear I'll get it down before we land. We've got time.
I'm sure you will. I'm going to put disguises on everyone.
Okay. He's basically you're going to be rolling blend as an assist test for their future blends.
Sure. So for Kinsey, because Kinsey absolutely needs it the most, I will spend 2 grit so I can count both of these 12s, which then explode. Okay. So you come away with a +5 to blend. Ken.
Very necessary.
And then Pax. It's a +5 for you as well.
Oh, okay.
I trust you to come up with whatever alias you feel is necessary.
Sure.
And then for me, +5 there. And then for Miguel, whose disguise does feature prominently a fake mustache. He gets a +5 also.
Okay. So it takes a little while in the beginning of the morning. Basically, you guys wake up, and then Roland, I suppose, announces that he wants to put disguises on everyone. And then it does take a little time, like in your cabin with just the 3 of you, like putting on, some theatrical, like, makeup and like what limited prosthetics Roland has on hand to try and like kind of like make basically some decent disguises so you don't look immediately recognizable as yourselves. And then you have to go across the hall to where Miguel is, and you knock on the door. He slides it open, looking a lot more put together than you last saw him, Roland. And to Kinsey and Pax, he looks like 100%, like he's fully recovered. He's got his gun slung over his back, kind of like wrapped up in cloth, and like his pack all ready to go. His room's all cleaned up. He's ready to leave. And then he sees you, Roland. And he goes, right. I didn't dream that then. Disguise, right?
Yep.
All right, well, you were very convincing, so come on. Just don't do anything too crazy, all right? I don't want to be fussing with it if it's too itchy.
Well, don't fuss with it then, and we won't have a problem, I say as I put on the prominent fake mustache.
He's like, all right, well, this ain't... I don't like this at all.
Well, it doesn't look like you, and that's sort of the point.
Yeah, well, what's the point of going around life hiding behind a mask? I don't get it. Ain't no way to live.
Because then you don't get arrested every town you go in for the crimes you did in the last 5 towns.
Hey, I don't get arrested.
Fine, nobody shoots at you every time you go to a civilized town for the crimes you've done.
See, here's the disconnect between you and me, Roland. That don't sound like fun to me.
All right, well, I'll, when you're killed in a shootout in this town, I'll return to Rufus and tell him that, sadly, Miguel, for want of a gunfight, could not get the job done.
Well, if anything, I imagine Rufus might understand that. And he like slaps you on the shoulder and goes, "All right, everyone ready to go?"
Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right. And yeah, he leads the three of you to the edge of the boat. As you're getting off the boat, is anyone trying to keep like a vigilant eye, or are you guys kind of in a relaxed state of mind right now?
I am not relaxed.
I
So
figured.
I've not been relaxed for a while.
I think
I-
Kinsey's just happened to be on the land.
Kinsey is just like super confident that whatever happens, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, Pax and Roland, you can roll an observe test for me.
That's 2 hits, 10 high.
I'm gonna spend two grit to play to the gallery, and I have 1 hit, 11 high.
Well, that 11 explodes though, right?
Oh yeah, maybe more.
Maybe you'll get more.
No, maybe more. Aha. 2 hits, 11 high.
Great. So one thing you specifically notice, Pax, because you would be more, it'd be something you might be looking for a little bit more because you have more information than Roland currently has, is you notice parked on the dock, basically, first off, you see the town of Wilburton. It is a much, much nicer than Moorbank. It's still a relatively small town, but it is what you would consider a more proper settlement. Nothing to write home about, but it's a nice. It has like its docks look a little bit cleaner. Its roads and buildings look a little less ramshackle. It's got a couple residential houses, not that many, like a handful of people who live in those. Probably all the shopkeepers have like apartments upstairs that they sleep in, that kind of thing. But it's got some amenities. And you can see just across this kind of like crescent moon, like kind of, or I should say like half circle, little like town square-esque area where there's a bunch of like shops and everything. You do see like there's the saloon there. Pax, you notice on one of the docks just a little bit, just a couple over from the Merryweather, there is a like a dinghy that like catches your eye because it has the same kind of coloring as the Merryweather, which isn't an uncommon color. It's just like white and red. But you do notice it does have like a stamp on it that indicates that it is like one of the Merryweather's lifeboats, and it is at one of the docks a little bit further down from where the Merryweather docked. And then the both of you definitely notice it's not too hard to see it parked out front in front of the saloon. There's a couple of horses and a couple like motorcycles, and then there is a truck that you can easily identify as Cho Saxton's truck from the Dead Man's Gang. It is pulled up in front of the saloon there, as if to announce to you guys where she is. Yeah. So I need everyone to go ahead and roll blend for me.
I am going to spend 2 grit to make my own luck.
Okay. And don't forget, you have your bonuses from the excellent disguises that Roland put on all of you.
Jesus.
Interesting. All right, so you can all take a grit as as Donna Kane is going to play to the gallery. But interestingly, well, she does explode. But there's more. Okay. Interestingly, she does misfire. Here's what's gonna happen. So Miguel walks at you guys. He kind of glances back, looks at the three of you, and points towards like Cho's truck. And then you guys are kind of walking a few paces behind him as you walk down the gangplank. Kind of like as like crowds of people are going, you can only walk like 2 across, and he gets like just separated by like one group of people in between you and him. And you're kind of making your way, bustling through the crowd as people are disembarking at Wilburton. That's when all three of you notice Donna Kane in the crowd of people who are in the main thoroughfare of Wilburton. She maybe was like being a little subtle, but then as more people are coming off the boat, she's now kind of openly walking, and you see her. She's walking. She has her marshal's badge on her coat. And you also see walking alongside her is kind of a burly man with like a thick, long mustache, like darker skin. His hair is short cropped. He's got a big, tall hat on, and he has a sheriff's badge on his shoulder. And both of them have their guns out. Donna has a very, very nice pistol that she's walking around with, and the sheriff is walking with like a double barrel shotgun kind of pointed nose down towards the ground, and they are very clearly looking through the crowd. They look like a little confused and a little concerned, and you guys spot them, and it doesn't seem like she notices you. And then as the crowd is kind of breaking off of the gangplank and you guys are walking, as you're about to be able to rejoin with Miguel, Donna, because she misfired, is going to kind of in a moment of uncertainty go, "Miguel Reyes!" into the crowd. And Miguel is going to snap his head in response, looking at her.
You don't have to answer to your own name. Oh my god! You can just not do anything.
Kind of instinctively, he turns his head, and then everyone else is like, "What? Who said that?" But he zeroes in right on her, and she sees him. He sees her, and really quick. I mean, she's going to continue speaking now that she notices him. But do you three continue moving? Do you stop? What do you do? As she continues talking.
No, you know what? This is why it took me longer to get caught than him. Yeah, I just keep walking and act appropriately surprised that a marshal has shouted loudly in this crowd and maybe clear away a bit faster. But, I have legitimate business here in Wilburton that does not involve any of the people in that situation.
That the rest of the crowd is as they it's not hard to assess the situation. There's a sheriff and a marshal with weapons drawn just shouted a name and kind of squared off against a guy who in a moment of confusion and uncertainty is starting to reach back towards the large package on his back. He's got one hand back towards it, and you're like, oh my, and move a little bit away from him, I'm not with him. No. Oh. What about
declare.
Kinsey and Pax?
I think Kinsey was specifically waiting to see what Roland did first, because he's at the very least learned that Roland likes it when he follows his lead. So I think rather than acting well, though, he sees Roland kind of breaking off, and he specifically kind of follows next to Roland, is kind of close to him, and then kind of sees him doing his little blustery thing. So he goes,
and and Pax.
I'm sorry. So funny. um, I I think because we're only a few steps behind, right? At the moment, I don't know. Anyway, I think Pax is too is surprised that it's a showdown in the street, and I think that for Justice as a second longer than she should, she hesitates, and Roland and Kinsey are kind of gone, like not like very far, but like enough to like it would be weird to like run after them. Yeah, I think she's like suddenly is incredibly indecisive, and yeah, I think it's
Okay.
probably. I, as a player, am indecisive, so she will also be indecisive.
So Miguel kind of turns, and in that moment, he like glances back, just with his eyes, not with his head. He just glances back towards the three of you and sees that like sees Pax kind of standing there frozen, but sees that like Roland and Kinsey have like removed themselves from his line of sight into the crowd. He just like glances, kind of makes like the briefest of eye contact with you, Pax, and then looks back towards the marshal, who goes, "I'm Marshal Donna Kane from Freedom City. This is Sheriff Baxter Dunnan of Wilburton. I've come to collect on a warrant for a multitude of crimes committed through 3 separate garden territories." And he kind of grins for a little bit. He doesn't move his hand at all, and they don't move. And the crowd, again, like a few people, like they clutch up their skirts or their bags, and they like move their way quicker through the thoroughfare to try and like kind of clear the area. And you see a couple like people peering from like the saloon, and he kind of like grins at that and goes. And at that point, Pax, are you still? Because at that point, the crowd is dispersing enough that you will be obviously standing there.
Oh, sure. I will slowly start to like back away. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're still a bit detached from the crowd, but you're no longer like frozen.
Yeah.
Okay. And he kind of grins at that and goes, "Well," and he pulls off the mustache.
God damn it, Miguel. God damn it. I gave you 5 hits for blend, and you couldn't walk 10 fucking feet off the boat.
His personality is only 4, and his blend's not very good, and also Donna spent grit. But he goes, "Well, y'all seem to know my reputation. I find it hard to believe you expect me to come quietly." And kind of like digging her heels in and like lowering her hand down calmly, Donna says, "Well, the warrant does say dead or alive. I figured we're all folk here. I'd give you the chance to come peacefully. But we can do this either way, Reyes. It's up to you." And there's a moment as they're kind of staring at each other across. He's eyeing both the sheriff and the marshal. Pax, you're continuing to make your way kind of closer towards where the crowd's going, kind of dispersing into the buildings.
No, I don't think I take cover in a building. I am going.
It's not completely abandoned yet. There's still people like in the streets. They're just like kind of pulling themselves like further away. It's a large enough like square that like you don't have to like jump in a building to like blend in.
I want to be within range of striking distance of Miguel, basically. So.
Oh. Okay, so like sprinting striking distance or arm's reach?
I guess sprinting, because I don't want him to suspect it. So.
Okay. So there's like a stagecoach kind of nearby that you can kind of like pull yourself up like against to like not stand out, and the driver's like kind of pulled off to the side of the road to like see what the hell's going on. Kinsey and Roland, you've been kind of following the flow of the crowd. You have your pick of the area to move to. Where do the two of you want to go?
Before I can answer that, can I see Cho anywhere?
Yeah. At this point, kind of like keeping an eye out. You already know where her car is, so you kind of glance that way. And as there's like a couple people who have like kind of like opened up the saloon doors and like kind of a couple have stepped out on the porch. The saloon is like a safe enough distance away to watch this like shootout at least begin. And there's a couple like drunks who are like, "Hey, check it out." And then you do see her kind of like skulk over towards like a pillar holding up the balcony and start making her way towards her car as stealthily as she can.
Okay, I will just sort of like nudge Kinsey and nod towards Cho, and then quietly say, "This seems like it's gonna break bad, and I like to be prepared to take whichever side wins. I think we should keep an eye on her."
All right. Shall I move a little bit closer? Incapacitate the vehicle if it takes off, perhaps?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Right.
I'll move towards the... it's a truck, right?
Yes.
I'll move towards the truck.
So as Donna Kane finishes saying her piece and it kind of goes quiet for a little bit, Cho like moves and like puts her hand against the like handle of the door but doesn't want to open it because like everything's gone dead quiet for like a few seconds, and then Donna swings up her gun like super fast, and the sheriff swings out his shotgun, and they start firing on Miguel, who manages. He doesn't try to like go for his gun. Instead, he dives behind some of the like barrels on the dock, which like shatter and split, and like wine starts pouring out of them. And he like basically rips the cover off of his heavy machine gun as he slams into cover. And we'll roll up initiative. Unless you guys do just want to not be involved in the fight, in which case you guys don't have to roll initiative.
I think we'll probably do things that change the outcome of this fight.
Okay, cool. Because like you guys have managed to kind of remove yourself from it to the point where you could just watch it and let it unfold. So it's entirely up to you. You don't have to fight if you don't want to.
I want the initiative in case I want to do a thing. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Sure.
Boy. Oh, Lord. All right, that's fine. Dice are not on my side today.
All right. Just gotta roll a couple initiatives here.
Guys, I'm so stressed out. So stressed.
So stressed. So stressed.
I think one of my favorite things about the live stream is now everyone can see what I've always known as the person who sits next to Addie when we record the podcast and combat breaks out. Addie is always sure we're about to die.
I'm so stressed out. Yeah, it's really true. You've outed me. It's happened. Whatever. At least I'm prepared.
No, yeah, I get it.
My first initiative pass, I have to decide how overt I want to be in this fight.
I mean, you could always hold your turn several rounds and see what happens.
No, well, I don't really want.
So the highest initiative out of all of the NPCs involved in this fight that I rolled was 9. Did anyone get better than a 9?
Got an 8.
Okay, cool. What is your awareness attribute?
That's a really good question.
That will be the tiebreaker. I imagine, actually, now that I realize who you're tied up against, it's lower.
5.
Okay. So there, and there. And... All right. 7. Did anyone get equal to or better than a 7? All right, cool. Next one I have is a 5.
Oh, I hit that one.
Hey, what is your awareness attribute?
It's 4, but also I misfired.
Okay. When we get to your turn, we'll figure out what that misfire did. Okay. Kinsey, what did you get?
4.
How many dice?
1 success.
And you roll 3 dice?
Yes.
All right. You could spend grit if you really hated that initiative. It's up to you.
You know, I don't really think Kinsey's ready for anything at the moment. I think that's all right.
Okay. Just making sure. I guess you could always just spend grit to double down if you really needed to.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Assuming you have enough grit. Okay.
What's that like?
You should ask Addie. She always has.
No kidding.
Okay.
I only have 10 grit right now. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So the first two things that happen is Donna, after Miguel's dived for cover, Donna immediately dives for cover of her own. She rushes over, and there's kind of like a trough for like horses to like drink from, and she like shoves it over sideways, like spilling water out into the thoroughfare. At this point, the crowd that was watching is now all of a sudden like, oh, okay, well, shots are fired. Suddenly, this is scary, and they start getting a little less like out in the open. She takes cover, and Cho, you see, slowly opens up the door, slowly but quickly, like opens up the door to the car, climbs in, and like shuts it, and like gets ready to like start the car. And Pax, you are actually next.
Oh no, nobody's done anything yet.
It's your turn.
I want to. So I'm behind like a stagecoach. Where, in relation to sort of the barrels that Miguel is hiding behind, is that?
Yeah. So basically, Miguel was standing with the river to his right side, and ahead of him, several paces, like 10, 15 feet, at the minimum, probably more like 20 or 25 feet, was the marshal and the sheriff. And then looking at the marshal and the sheriff from Miguel's point of view, over to the left, there's the saloon a little ways on the other side of like a pretty wide like thoroughfare. And that's where the truck is, where Cho is. Kind of panning to the left from that is where Kinsey and Roland have made their way to, kind of on like on the boardwalk that kind of leads towards the saloon. And you are kind of pulled back a little behind into the well, not behind, but like basically to the left of Miguel, not fully across the roundabout. So Miguel is to your right, slightly obscured from you by the barrels, but you can actually see he's got his he's pulled the cloth off of his gun, and he's getting ready to pop up and fire. The barrels are already starting to rotate.
Gosh, I wish I was more persuasive. I am going to. I don't know. I'm going to. I'm gonna hold my turn. Oh, that sucks. I hate it. I hate holding my turn. Especially when I roll good initiative.
I mean, your initiative doesn't go down yet, so
I know.
just give other people a chance to do things that you can react to. Like Miguel goes next, and he pops up, and like assessing the situation, he sees like Donna dropping behind the metal trough, the sheriff kind of standing out in the open, and Miguel just holds down the trigger and just unloads, spraying the area where basically starting where the sheriff is, and then just pelting, like mud shooting up as he like just continues to spray bullets towards where Donna is behind cover. And he is going to use his tier 4 talent, Spray and Pray.
Oh no. I should have gone before. I should have made a decision. Hashtag regrets.
Okay. Okay. And let's see how the sheriff does.
That's a dead sheriff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the sheriff does get hit. He gets hit pretty hard. Let me just take a look here. 14. Okay. So the sheriff is still alive.
Oh.
Tough sheriff.
He's very, very hurt, though. Yeah, his armor gets shredded as he just like takes a bunch of bullets and like flies back into the like muddy thoroughfare, splashing down, letting out like a shout. Donna also gets winged a little bit, but not as bad as one might think. The cover does a lot for her here. So I'll write down where she's at. Okay, yeah, so the sheriff gets knocked down, letting out a grunt, bullets ripping into his armor, and Donna like ducks down and gets like hit in the shoulder, and like winces and like kind of pulls into her cover a little bit tighter, and then 2 bystanders get hit as well.
No.
One man gets like shot through like both of his legs and falls down in the mud, and then a woman gets like shot in the like upper like back as she's trying to run away and falls down.
I'd like to go now.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna throw up a blinding projectile. So I'm gonna throw an exploding knife, I guess, kind of thing.
I mean,
Like,
it can be any kind of aerodynamic. It can
yeah,
be a
I think
knife.
it's like a little flechette that like goes like boop, 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 and
Sure.
it's like a that kind of thing.
And who are you throwing that at?
Miguel Fisher.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So he sends up. He's like just unloading, not really ducking back into his cover, kind of like just like pelting. Now he's like kind of focusing his fire on where Donna is. The bullets like ripping into the metal that she's ducked behind, and then you step out from behind the carriage and throw a blinding shot at him. And he's gonna have some negatives to this because he's not expecting an attack from you, but he is aware of where you are.
Okay.
So he will still get a defense test, but he'll have negatives.
Yeah. Okay. Oof. That is not as good as I
Okay. So you are currently up against a 7.
Oh, okay. I have 2 hits. I have 2 hits.
What's your highest?
10.
10? Okay. You can take a grit.
Okay.
As he is going to... Yeah, he's going to go it strong so that he can count his 9.
Okay, so that's 1 net hit.
Okay. So he takes negatives equal to the power of your weapon, as he is partially blinded.
Okay, so that's 3.
Okay, cool. So, like I said, he's not like expecting a shot from you, so you're like you kind of throw it at him, and it blows like next to his head because he wasn't like really watching you, so it doesn't hit him like full in the face, and it flashes right next to him and like gets at one of his eyes, and he stops shooting after like he raises his gun. It kind of like strips up, like hitting some of the buildings behind where Donna's hiding, and he like kind of like stumbles back and is like, ah. And he's gonna be at -3 from that.
Okay, I think I have to spend grit to double down, but like I'd like to tackle him now.
Yes.
Attempt to tackle him right now.
So you can do that. And a grapple. So if you're trying to melee attack him, you could do it because you could just use one of your fists to go for it. But if you're trying to grapple him, that is a focused action.
I mostly want to knock him down, like into cover, because he said he stood up behind his cover.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you want to cold shot hit him and get him to fall down then.
Yeah, basically, I just want to like knock him over into cover, so I have a second to like say a thing, and then
sure. So you won't have to double down then. It's just an unarmed attack. So you can have a +1 because you have enough like space between you and him to like gain momentum. However, to actually have the called shot to knock him down, you're going to be at a -2. So a total net of -1 as you just kind of like try to like tackle him with your shoulder to knock him down.
Okay. Oh man, what am I rolling athletics?
No, you're rolling an unarmed attack.
Unarmed? No. This is such a good roll for anything but unarmed in the muscle category. Oh, so sad. I'm gonna spend a grit to make my own luck. Okay. Nards.
So what is your highest?
A 9.
Okay. So he actually with the negatives. Yeah. Nah, I don't want to spend that. I don't have that grit to spend. You do it. I have a 2 because the negatives from being.
Oh, I have 2 net hits then.
Yeah, the negatives from being blind just are not gonna work for him here. Or blinded.
Sure.
So what is your strength?
I am.
Sorry, your muscle. Your muscle.
I am 7 muscle.
7 muscle. All right. Cool. So you don't do a whole lot of damage to him. You do a little bit, but not.
No, I wasn't intending
Actually,
on like damage.
Well, but I mean, it was either
Sure.
that or grapple, right? So
right. Okay.
yeah. You did it the quick and dirty way, which would deal damage. Actually, I realized you don't deal any damage to him because the toughness of his armor just soaks it up.
Great. That's perfect.
So yeah, you rush forward and you just shoulder charge him, and the secondary effect that you're trying to achieve, like smashes into him. He's like ah, and then like as he's trying to turn to see what was going on, he doesn't have like even time to really focus on you as you just like barrel into him and like knock him down onto the ground.
Okay. And I am like, what are you doing? What? You're gonna bring so much heat onto this mission. Just for like 1 second think about something other than your gun.
Yeah. We'll. I don't think you've done enough that there's not going to be like a manipulate roll there, but like you have his ear at least because you forced him into it.
Yeah. Like he's his own person. He can do what he wants, but this way maybe the optics are nobody dies other than those 2 people who he killed already.
Well, you don't know. They could be very injured and bleeding to death.
Sure.
So the sheriff gets up from where he is and sees that sees that like Miguel has been like knocked under the cover. He doesn't really have anything to shoot, and then he turns back and sees like the dying people, and he lets off like a shot directly against the cover that you're behind, and shouts, "Give it up, Reyes!" And as you see him lower his gun and start rushing to try and like drag those people into the building they were trying to run into. And Roland, it's your turn.
Okay. This whole thing seems bad. I kind of figured one side would just generally do better than the other, and it seems like they've both sort of done not great. I don't like being in the position to sort of tip the scales here. What's Cho doing? Is she? I'll spend my whole focused action if I have to. I need to know if she's about to drive away or get into the fight.
Yeah, okay. So you have playing the player. So you can kind of try and read her intentions here. She's not trying to be super subtle about it because she doesn't think anyone's watching her. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be opposed. Just roll a, I guess blend, right? Because she's trying to be a little more cautious.
Sure.
So you'll be, because you have playing the player, instead of having to roll discipline to get a read on her, you can roll blend, because that would be the closest thing to what she's trying to do now, is like not be noticed.
Cool. That's 3 hits on blend.
Cool. So it doesn't look like it looks like she isn't necessarily a fighter. So she gets behind the car, and you see her like kind of watch the scene. You see her get a little confused when some person tackles Miguel, and that's like she kind of like stiffens up and like reaches down and puts the car into gear and is about to like rev the engine. And you get the sense that she is going to try and rescue Miguel. She's going to try and snatch Miguel and run.
I don't necessarily know what to do with that information, but I think it's better if I'm in the car. So I'm going to go to her car now.
Okay. You're still in disguise. So when you get to the car, do you just like how do you like hop in the back? Do you hop in the passenger seat? Do you like knock on the window? What do you do when you get to the car?
I will knock on the window and then like shout whisper as I duck down, assuming she's going to shoot me. It's me, it's Roland. I'm in disguise. Please don't shoot me.
Yeah, so she doesn't have her gun like on, like her gun is like kind of like below the dash. So like you knock and she like reaches and you start saying that, and yeah, we'll see what happens next. That's Roland's turn. Kinsey, what do you do?
Oh, I'm next. What do you know?
We have reached the bottom of initiative. Kinsey, it is your turn.
Right, that checks out. Yeah, Kinsey's just going to follow. I mean, Roland seems to have his head on his shoulders. I'm going to follow him to the car.
Also, Kinsey's here. He's in disguise too.
Okay. And that's all you're doing with your turn, or do you have more of your turn, so you could actually get in the car if you really wanted. Like, you could get in the back. Getting in the, like, to the passenger door and in does put you, like, out closer towards the gunfire, not behind cover. Or you could just, sit where Roland is, next to the car.
I think the idea is I'm going to go towards the back, and I'm going to get ready to hopefully load Miguel and Pax into the back of the truck.
Okay, so you're going to climb into the bed of the truck.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay, so she sees you rolling, and she's, like, a little confused, and then you're like, also, Kinsey, don't shoot him either. And like, she sees Kinsey, like, kind of, like, hop into the back and, like, slide in, and you kind of give her that smile, and she rolls her eyes. Now it's Donna's turn. Donna's going to, as, like, Miguel's, like, firing has stopped temporarily, she's going to see, like, the sheriff is, like, starting to drag people back in, and she's going to swing around towards, like, where there's, like, a well to try and get a better angle on where Miguel is. And she is going to kind of pop out and aim her gun and see you, Pax, in your disguise. I need you to roll another blend test for me.
Okay. I assume I don't get the +5 again, or do I?
You've kind of tipped your hand a little bit here, so I don't think you get your +5.
Okay.
It's like, it's by virtue of the fact that you're wearing a disguise that you get a roll here.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Okay.
Right, you're up against a 10.
She's the aggressor?
Yes.
Okay. Then I have one net hit with a 12.
Okay. So she sees you. You see, like, a little bit of recognition, but, like, uncertainty. And then she, because of the way she's had to move around, she sees, like, you've knocked this man down, and she kind of shouts, like, get out of the way, miss! Do you move at all, or do you kind of, like, stay relatively where you are?
I mean, I'd probably, like, take cover, right? If I have the opportunity to take any cover, I'll take cover.
No, I mean, you don't have, like, an action or anything. It's just like,
Sure.
she right now, you are blocking her shot where she is.
Yes.
So you kind of, like, step aside to give her a clearer shot?
Yes. No, yes. Maybe.
I need to know which one you do.
Yeah. I will just, like, I think I'll just, like, lean. I'm lean, I guess. I don't know. Yes, I do.
Okay, you've hesitated enough now. I think you don't get to move out of the way.
I'm so stressed out.
So she yells, like, move, get out of the way, miss. And then, like, you don't, like, you're like, you kind of turn and look at her, and she's got her gun on you, and she, like, pulls it off and goes, like, shit. And then, like, continues using the rest of her turn to, like, move all the way to, like, completely rear flank Miguel to try and get a cleaner shot on him. She kind of, like, just sprints and, like, slides behind the carriage, which, like, the driver's, like, getting the passengers out of, and she's like, it's all right, go down the alley, and she kind of gets up against the carriage there. And that is her whole turn. Cho is, so Cho's gonna hold her turn, I think. Roland. Roll a manipulate for me, Roland. Let's see if Cho leaves you behind or not.
I have 5 hits, high of 11.
Okay. Okay, cool. How many over 10?
3.
Yeah. So she like sees Kinsey jump in the back, and she goes, "Get in the damn truck." You don't have it's not your turn yet, but she's holding her turn basically.
Right.
She's like, "Get in the truck. We're getting him out of here." So Pax, it is your turn.
Great. I'm gonna spend, I think, what is my whole turn being like, the more civvies you kill, the more heat you bring down on us, and then what happens? Don't just take cover. And I saw Cho's car. She's gonna come for you. Just don't be stupid, please.
Yeah, you can roll manipulate. You have a +2 because you pointed out Cho's like car, like, and convinced him. Like it could be more convincing. Like, yeah, Cho's gonna do the thing that she would probably do in this situation. Turns out what you said is very true.
Okay. I have 2 hits with a 4 high.
It's not great.
It's only 1 lower than my maximum. This was never a well thought out gambit.
Spend some of that grit. Spend it.
To do what?
You could have bamboozled him for a -10.
I could have bamboozled him for a
You can make your own luck still, right?
Yeah, but I still can't get higher than a 5.
Yeah,
You
you're
can
up against
flash
a
back
9.
and rebuild your character.
Yeah, hey, flashback.
Yeah.
I made a tranquilizer dart.
I mean, that is a viable option. Not now that you've chosen what you do this turn, but
Yeah.
But you're up against a 9, so there's unless it was too late. If you had bamboozled, you maybe could have brought him down further, but
Yeah.
he has outrolled what you're capable of.
Sure.
So he only got one next success, so he's like, he kind of like sits up, so he's like, he marked where the marshal went, and he's like, "Get your ass down, you're gonna get yourself killed. If Cho's coming, she'll come." And then he starts spinning his barrels as he gets ready to shred where Donna has run to. And that is your turn. And then Miguel goes. And he is going to just like unload and tear into this carriage where Donna has taken cover to try and hit her. Let's see how it goes.
I'm gonna be so upset when she dies. I'm gonna be so upset when I die.
They gotta kill you 10 times before you're dead.
Well, he actually doesn't do as good as he could have. Because Donna rolled very well on her defense. But he does still hit her. So again, she's like kind of pressed up against this carriage. She like leans out, sees like him like kind of pull you down and kind of like drop up to one knee, and he just starts like unloading, tearing into this carriage. She kind of ducks in and her hip gets clipped with one of the shots. And like some blood spurts out. But then you also notice so there's the 2 horses like on the carriage. They were already kind of restless, but the like driver was holding them steady while he was like getting the passengers out. And he let go and he moved off. And Miguel's just unloading into this carriage, and you realize he has incendiary rounds which start pelting into the side of this carriage, and it lights a flame, which freaks out the horses even more than a person shooting a machine gun right next to them would. And so they freak out and they go running, and Donna is no longer in cover. And the sheriff is going to successfully secure the two injured people into the general store. And then he is going to step out and try to get back into the fight. He's got to basically, he runs back in and like gets kind of nearby where the trough is, the overturned trough, to try and like get close enough to like take a shot at Miguel. Roland, it is your turn.
Okay, yeah, I get in the car, and I don't have an action to do at this time.
Okay.
I'm still really sort of waiting to see where we fall in this, what change I can possibly affect. It feels like very little at this point, so I'm just gonna get in the car.
So as Cho, as you get in the car, Cho's gonna take her turn. Are you climbing in the back of like the bed with Kinsey, or are you running around to the passenger side to get into the cab?
I guess I'm just hopping into the back with Kinsey.
Okay. So you climb in, and then she kicks on the engine. It blares out. You see the sheriff like turn and see as she swiftly like without like moving the car forward, just like turns it like by spinning the wheels in the mud, and then it like smashes into one of the posts on the boardwalk. And then when it does that, she just like lets it fly forward, and she goes driving straight at Donna Kane, because now Donna is exposed and on the way to getting Miguel. So yeah, she's gonna try and run over Donna. All right, well, that's locked in. Let's see how Donna does on her defense. Donna, though, apparently very good at these kind of like rough and tumble like street fights. She hears the engine kick on. She turns and like zero focuses in, sees like what's about to happen, and Miguel has already like kind of started shooting a little too wide, and has like stopped his burst to like level back at her, and she leaps back out of the way as the car kind of like swerves where she is and like kind of drifts at her as if to like smash her with the back wheels. She manages to pull back out of the way just barely. She like leaps into the mud, landing like on her elbows and like rolls with it. And she is not run over and killed by Cho. Kinsey, what do you do?
I'm going to take a shot at Donna Kane.
Are you intending to try and hit her, or are you just playing at shooting at her? Either answer is fine. I'm just curious.
I'm intending to try and hit her with a net shot.
Ah, okay. So you've loaded up net shot, and as you're like holding on, it spins. Despite the fact that she is like driving super fast and spinning like the car to like get it so that Miguel can dive into the cab. She basically like she swung the car like 180 and leaned over and popped open the passenger door and was like, "Get in!" to Miguel. At this point, though, despite all that, like the way she was able to move, like gave you enough time to like fortify yourself. You're at no negatives for shooting out of this moving vehicle, because she is an extremely good driver. And you're shooting with your rifle or your pistol.
Pistol.
Okay, you level your pistol and you try to fire a net pack at Donna Kane.
I am going to play to the gallery here.
Uh-huh.
Right. There's 4 hits with a high of 13.
A high of 13, you said?
13, yes.
Okay. So if I spend some grit, you can hit me, but not as bad. Yeah, I think you're just up against an 8. I don't think I'm gonna spend the grit to go it strong here and get rid of her negatives.
That's fine, because that still takes away 3 of my hits, leaving 1 lone 13.
Okay. So, yeah, you shoot a burst, and the bullets they kind of fly and then sensor with each other, shoot together to make a web that kind of wraps around her ankle and weighs it down. It isn't quite able to wrap around her second ankle. It kind of trips her up a little bit as she kind of is rolling on the ground. But she's kind of just one leg is kind of entangled in a bent thing. So she's struggling against that rope to try and straighten that leg and stand up as she's trying to assess the fight.
Sure.
And it is her turn. And I believe she is going to try to single focus, kind of hobble around the car to get a line of fire down where Miguel is, and she is going to fan the hammer and try to shoot at him. Though she is at a negative because she is netted up. Also, she's hurt. Miguel, however, is not hurt at all. So she fails to hit him with the first shot, and then you can all take a grit because she is going to double down to try and hit him with this second shot.
Did I get grit from her last roll?
She didn't spend grit.
Oh.
I debated it, but I chose not to because I wanted to give her a chance to shoot twice at Miguel here. She is going to spend grit to play to the gallery. And so yeah, Miguel does get hit this time. He's sees Cho pull up. He lowers his gun for a second and wasn't ready for Donna to kind of leap and just fan the hammer twice, so she dove past the car. And the first shot whizzes by his head, and the other one hits him right in the shoulder and hits him pretty good. And he takes some damage to his hit points and armor. Oops. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and a little bit of blood shoots out as he takes a wound penalty. His armor gets busted as he stumbles back from that shot. And Cho's gonna hold her turn, waiting for Miguel to get in the car. Pax, it's you're up. The door is open. Cho is looking at Miguel. Miguel says, "You heard her. Get in."
I will get in.
Okay. Jumping in the cab?
Yeah.
Cool. And are you doing anything else with your turn?
I can't think of anything to do.
Okay. And it's Miguel's turn. He is going to stand up like wincing with some pain. He's going to rush forward, slam the door shut, and then leap into the back with Roland and Kinsey. And as Cho begins turning the wheels to drive off, he is going to plant one foot against the back corner, as if he is very used to this kind of relationship between him and Cho. And he is going to just fully unload onto Donna Kane, who is hobbled a little bit in the mud.
Oh my god.
And I have no more grit left to spend for Donna. However, she does have the talent Shrug It Off. So she is going to take half damage here. Which is good for her because he hit her really hard. 14, 20... All right. Her armor is super busted. Let's see, how much hit point damage did she take there? Is she dead? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. No, she survives with 4 hit point boxes after shrugging off that attack. So you might think she's dead, as she does. She's hobbled and struggling with the thing on her leg. She's pulling at that, looks up, sees that Miguel is just grinning and angled down right at her, and she just kind of leaps and rolls and struggles. Miguel pelts her in the back with gunfire. Blood shoots up and her clothes begin to catch a flame as she pulls herself. You do see the car kicks and Cho starts driving. Miguel stops shooting and you do see her super bloodied and wounded and on fire kind of pull herself into an alleyway and start rolling into the mud to try and get herself put out. But it's super weakly. You're not sure if she has much life left in her as the car vrooms out of town. And Miguel drops down, taking a couple shots for fun into the town as he goes, just pelting the buildings a little bit and be like, woo! And he sets it down and he goes, God damn, where the hell they come from?
Can I, real quick, I'd like to do just a very swift medical assessment of Miguel and his nearness to death, if possible.
You can roll first aid.
Okay, that's 3 hits.
Okay. So his armor's completely busted. With 3 hits, you're not gonna get a total hit point damage. You know he has 1 wound modifier.
Right, and I can do math.
You're not 100% sure what that means as far as his, closeness to death, if you were to put a monetary number on it. But you're pretty sure he has more than half of his vitality left. You're not sure how much more, but you're with 3 hits, you're he's not really far from half, but he's not half yet.
Cool, that's fine. I think it's worthwhile, and I can sell this if it goes bad. I will hand him a tonic from my pocket and pop the top and just hand it to him. Here, this is the one you didn't want to take from the dock before.
Yeah, you don't have to roll manipulate because you got 4 on him earlier. He actually just straight up trusts you right now. So he's like leaning there. He's like, ha, where the hell they come from? Ah, man, shit was a good shot. Hard angle and everything. Oh yeah, sure. Thanks, Roland. And he just gulps down whatever that tonic is. What tonic did you just give Miguel?
I gave him a tier 2 poison tonic that just immediately deals 6 damage to his hit points.
Okay. Let's look at his hit points real quick here. Okay, that is not going to kill him.
That's fine.
So wow, 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
Your medical assessment will tell you that he is extremely close to dead now. Like death's door. He takes it, he swings down, he's like, oh man. Look, I told you, Roland, I don't get a rest. What the hell? And he starts like coughing and choking, and he like drops down and like spits blood up on the ground, on the bed of the truck. He drops his gun completely, and like you see like black veins in his neck. His eyes get like immediately like bloodshot, and he's like gasping for air and like coughing, and like just like spitting up like blood and bile.
I will like panic visually. Oh no! That was Salvador's doctor. Fuck! And like start like reaching for the first aid kit I don't possess to try and buy myself a little more time to like think of what happens next here.
Sure. So Cho is driving. She's like kind of like watching all the mirrors. Well, she's just got the 2, but she's watching the 2 mirrors. And like looking like over her shoulder, and then when she glances back, she goes, "What the hell? What's going on back there?" And that draws your attention back to the fact that Miguel seems to be like coughing up blood and like struggling to like breathe at this moment. Kinsey, what are you up to?
I'm gonna like beat on the back window and say, pull over! They shot him in the lung."
She doesn't pull over unless you want to. I guess if you really want to, you could like roll like maybe an intimidate or something to try and get her. But she does respond back. I pull over, we're all dead. Someone tend to him. Pax, what do you do?
Nothing. I don't do anything.
Okay. Yeah, so Miguel coughing, clutching like his wound and like gasping for air, like rolls onto his back, eyes wide with fear. His condition doesn't seem to be getting worse, but obviously it's very bad.
Cool. I would like to do as Cho said and start trying to tend to him. I don't have a first aid kit. So I will like, shit. Kinsey, your survival pack. It's got like bandages at least or something. Just give it here.
I've got a first aid kit. Take these.
Cool, great. And I will like take medical
first
tools.
Aid cube. Does that give you enough?
That allows him to do any amount of healing.
Sure.
It allows me to appear as if I'm about to do any amount of healing.
Right, exactly.
What do you do, Roland? So Kinsey reaches in his pack, pulls out first aid cube. It's just like a tin box with like bandages and alcohol and stuff like that.
Does it have like a scalpel or forceps or anything that you might, like a stitching needle or like something?
There's definitely a stitching needle for sure.
I'll say, okay. I'll look at Miguel. Hold on. I gotta try and close this up to stop the bleeding. Hold on. and I'm just gonna take something sharp and just.
You're gonna try and kill him. You're gonna have him die.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not gonna make you roll to kill him. He's one hitbox away from like an unarmed strike will do it, even from you, because the minimum you can do is 1 damage. But what I will have you do is I will have you roll first aid to try and hide the fact that you killed him.
Sure.
I don't. If you roll extremely well, maybe you'll be able to hide the traces of poison.
I don't
But
expect Cho
yeah.
as a doctor, so like decent is fine for me.
Yeah. The conditions are bad. You're in a moving vehicle. So we'll put it at a just a -1 because Cho is a very good driver.
Could I proactively bamboozle whoever might inspect this body?
Sure.
Cool. I spend 2 grit to give anyone a -2 to figure out the first murder I ever did. Oh shit, that's very good. I got 4 hits.
Okay. Yeah. You even do you want to make it look like he wasn't poisoned? Or do you want to like what kind of evidence do you want to leave?
I would like to make it look like, as Kinsey previously said, he was shot in the lung and then died because I'm not a doctor. And we were in a moving car and Cho didn't stop. And it's really her fault if you think about it.
So you do want to try and like get rid of any trace of like poison.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So what you do with your 4 hits, we'll say that the first use up the first aid cube. It has
I'm gonna need all the supplies in here, Kinsey, but not for medicine.
Yeah, well, some of them are just like to make it look like you tried really hard. But basically, what you do is you're able to you like kind of move in between, so like Cho can't see what you're doing, and you're able to kind of like reach in and really like mess up the wound that he has. Like that's kind of a little too far from his lung to say he got shot in the lung, but you start like making it like a much more grotesque wound than it was, and you're able to kind of like make it look like the marshal was using like exploding rounds and that the shrapnel got into his lung. It wouldn't hold up to extreme like you do break off like bits of like you like shave off some like metal off of like one part of like a machinery cube. You take like the scalpel and you just like kind of like put like metal bits in there and everything. But like
as I'm doing that, I'm shouting, "Don't you die on me!"
A doctor like doing like a full-on autopsy would probably be able to like figure this out. But what you are also able to do is you clear his throat of like the you know like he had like a little bit of like frothing in his mouth. And you're able to like clear that out. You like spray some water in there, and like now it just looks like he was coughing up blood. And then like you have a stroke of good luck in the sense that after he dies, he's like and he like lets you go in there, and then you just kind of like stick a needle into his throat and push in, and he like can't breathe as you like kind of close his windpipe, and he like stares at you wide-eyed as you just kind of like hold him down, and he's too weak to fight against you, and then you make a show of continuing to try and work on him after he has actually died, but somehow pushing down on his throat that way like managed to clear those black veins from his neck to make it look like it wasn't poison.
Faster, faster, the man's dying back here.
Yeah, and then you're able to kind of mess up that wound enough to make it look like it may have been an explosive round that exploded into his lung and had like kind of a delayed effect.
Great. I will just sort of sit against the side of the cab, like resting my hands covered in blood on my knees and look dejected.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to do a manipulate test here for this performance that you're doing. Kinsey, you may assist.
I will try.
Pax, what are you doing while this is happening?
Nothing. Like watching, right? But unless Cho's like asking for like an update or like just like looking out the window, like, you know, for baddies, good guys, whatever. And then yeah, just kind of like observing all the stuff. There's nothing I can do to help.
Sure. So Cho is kind of like she's white knuckling it on the drive. She's like glancing back and being like, "The hell's he doing back there?" And she's like kind of freaking out, but she is like focused on continuing to get you as far away from Wilburton as possible.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a +1 for the manipulate.
Okay.
I am dressed to impress at this point, I think.
No. Just because you're covered in blood doesn't mean you're dressed to impress.
I look like someone who just tried to save a life. Fine.
If you had a med kit, then that would definitely be dressed to impress.
But part of the lie is I'm not a doctor.
You do look like not a doctor. And you are up against a whopping 4.
Oh, okay. That's 3 net hits.
Cool. So you kind of pull back dejected. Cho sees Miguel's now dead body. Her eyes like go wide, and then she just like locks her head forward on the like on the road or lack thereof as she off-roads northward for a little while, and she's silent. But you notice Pax that her hands like grip even tighter on the steering wheel.
I assume after a while in silence, I assume there's silence
Yeah.
for a while. Yeah. Okay. Where are we headed?
North. What happened on that boat?
What's his face? Calderon?
Yeah.
Well, Calderon was murdered.
Oh no, that's not the person who got murdered. Calderon owns the boat.
Okay.
Salvador Alston is the man who was murdered.
Right. Okay. Salvador. Salvador was murdered, and there was a marshal, and obviously they figured out Miguel was there.
And at this point, she kind of pulls off into like kind of a small wooded area. Pulls in a little bit to like get into the shade and out of sight of like the road that she's kind of avoided so far. And she like stops the car and sits there, still kind of holding the steering wheel. And then she like smacks the steering wheel a few times really hard with her fist. And then kicks open the door and like steps out and looks at the three of you and is like, someone needs to tell me what happened, where that marshal came from, what the hell happened to someone. Start talking. You see that she has pulled her gun out from under her dashboard, but she's not like brandishing it or anything. She just has it in her hand.
I've been trying to tell everyone since you decided I was worth your time in this gang that it is worthwhile to hide our identities to the best of our ability. Because when we don't, things like this happen. Marshals who happen to be on the riverboat we need to go on to get what we want recognize us.
Well, about Salvador, who did hit him in? Hmm?
I shot that person. It was one of the Gotties.
She like sits down. She is like under her breath is like, shit. What? Y'all were wearing disguises as you left. Pretty fine disguises by the look of it.
They were put on just this morning, just before we disembarked.
The marshal shouted Miguel's name, and he answered. He'd be alive if he just kept walking.
Go ahead and roll a manipulate test. You can assist Kinsey. You were talking.
Why not?
What's the worst that can happen?
I do not help.
As long as you don't not help.
Actually, no, right.
Okay, well, now it's gotten better. My high is a 13.
Okay. Yeah, she actually got no hits.
Oh, I have 4 hits.
So she, like, grits her teeth and goes, ran into one of Sal's men. And just outside of Wilburton. His name was Henry, I think. Well, he got to talking on the way in about how everything had gone wrong. He was hurt, you see, shot in the arm. He was saying that the Gotti were the ones that hit Salvador's stash house, took all the weapons we needed, and that he needed to get Salvatore and run. He wouldn't listen to reason, so once he was done being useful and he was going to draw attention in town, I got rid of him, but damn, they have people on the boat too. I was hoping maybe he was, spinning a tale or something. Think the Gotti and the Marshal are working together? Or that's just unfortunate circumstance?
Wouldn't be the first time the family's decided to pretend to be law enforcement.
Well then, if she was on the payroll, it's a little bit easier. Look, I know where the Gottis are at. They, at least the ones who hit Sal's people, or rather Henry knew. It's a woman by the name of Akayo Gotti, or Gotti. Anyway, she's up north, Lily Ridge. Just about a day away from here in the car. We need those guns. I say we go there and take them.
The 4 of us.
Might be we can send an LRC once we're in town, call for reinforcements, but depending on where the gang's moved to right now, they might not be close enough to send help.
Just to be clear, you're saying you're trying to, even with the dead man's gang, you're trying to get all of us against one of the families.
They won't see us coming. And if we're careful, they won't see us leaving either.
And does Roland Nash mess with the family often? Is he going to be on board with this plan, or?
Rufus trusts us, and Rufus knows he needs those guns.
As I said, Rufus, yeah.
We go to Lily Ridge. We LRC for help. We see what Rufus says. That way we're in position to move if need be. Sound square to everyone?
You're the boss.
All right. She sits there, kind of rubs her temples. She goes, grab whatever Miguel had on him and dump him by the trees here.
Do so. May I use survival to hide the body, perhaps, just in case, it could be evidence used against us?
Just don't take too long. It's as good a sight for him to rot away as any. God damn fool. Couldn't save him?
I'm not a doctor.
He tried his damnedest, I watched.
In the best of conditions, I don't know that I can fix a shot up lung. I certainly can't do it in the back of a moving car.
All right. We get to town, get the guns, rendezvous with the team. It's better be worth it. You hear what I said? Get him out of the truck. Get his valuables.
Yeah.
Let's get a move on. They're not going to be too far behind us. Let's go.
Kinsey will start grabbing the body if somebody'd like to help him.
I will.
All right. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and see, is there perhaps a local equivalent of lime that I can put over the body, we cover it up and kind of shallowly bury it, that'll help it decompose a little bit quicker?
Roll survival.
Right.
At a -3.
3. All right, I can take that.
I am taking possession of Miguel's gun.
All right. You can add to your inventory a heavy firearm with rotating barrels, full auto, and I didn't write it down here, but it's the one that makes the ammo really big. Shit.
The drum?
Belt fed.
Belt fed.
Belt
Thank
fed.
you. Yes, belt fed. So yeah, it's belt fed, full auto, rotating barrels, and you have 2 cubes of incendiary rounds.
Okay.
Now, I am trying to recall an aspect of nature, aren't I?
Not so much. This is more hands-on. This isn't you knowing whether or not this thing exists. It's you trying to find it.
But we are in the wilderness, aren't we?
We are in the wilderness,
All
yes.
right.
So anything you have that gives you bonuses to being in the wild, you can use.
Little talent called In My Element. Give me a free reliability on this roll. Hopefully I won't need it. Right, so target of 9. Ugh, don't like that.
Also, in case you were wondering, Pax, the heavy firearm is excellent quality.
I assume.
All right, I am going to spend another couple of fucking grit to play to the gallery.
Okay.
Ugh, still only 1 success.
All right. So you're not really able to do much as far as like hastening his decomposition, but you are able to kind of find like like certain parts, like these trees, like the way they kind of work with the soil. So you're able to find like an area where like you can kind of like use the root system of the trees to like make kind of a little trench really quickly using your survival kit. So that he's not just like laying flat on the ground. He's kind of like at the ground level, and then you're able to kind of like give him like a shallow burial, basically,
Sure.
where like anyone who like was sitting on by that tree and like put their hand down might like touch his face, but like
no.
you mask it enough.
Sure.
You're not really sure that you're gonna like wild animals might get to this and
Perhaps
disturb.
it'll rain, and bloat the body as it is on lower ground now at this point.
Yeah, so it's not like the best thing, but at least if like something happens in the next few hours, like if law enforcement does come through here, there's a decent chance they'll miss it.
Sure.
So yeah, other things Miguel has is 20 spurs, which unless you try to pilfer any of it, Cho will take. His armor is busted up, and then his pack is already like in the back, so it's just like what he had like on him.
Cool.
And then you guys load back in the car.
Sure.
Same arrangement. Kinsey and Roland in the back, and Cho and Pax in the front.
Unless Pax wants to switch.
Nope.
Cool.
As you guys kind of pull out and start driving, there was a point like as you were like burying his body or whatever, you did probably Roland for sure, Pax and Kinsey, roll an observe test for me since you were the ones actively burying the body.
Sure.
No, sorry, Roland, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
You see it for sure because you weren't active. Like it's not that hard to observe.
Got it.
Just that they were like possibly they may have missed it.
The sun sets. I've noticed this as I wasn't partaking in another activity.
That's one for Kinsey.
1 hit, 9 high.
Okay. So the two of you see that Cho kind of goes off, just not super far. Just like there's a point as you're starting to bury him, she kind of like steps off for a minute, and Roland, you see as she like kind of like lets her facade drop a little bit and like gets just like a little weepy and like wipes some of the tears from her eyes, and then you see her trace a triangle in the air, and then she says like a couple words with like her fingers pressed to like her forehead like this, and then she kind of like brings herself back together and steps back over and is like, all right, that's good enough, let's go. And
we get back in the car.
And as you guys start pulling out, she goes, any one of you know how to drive?
I can drive a little.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
So, Pax, it's going to be a full-on drive here. It's going to get a little late. I already double-timed it to get into Wilburton in time, so once I start getting a little, well, I'll need some shut-eye, and you just keep heading northward, all right?
You got it.
All right. And she doesn't really say much as the drive continues. She'll make the occasional stop if you need to use the restroom, but she's not really into it. She's like, grab a can, go in there. And she's just full on driving like straight northward towards Lily Ridge. So the road there between it does take about a day, Not that many stops. She purposely doesn't skirt by any other settlements or anything like that. She just beelines it for Lily Ridge, trying to off-road as much as possible. But nothing really gets, nothing slows you down. There's no real problems on the road. And there are a few moments where Cho is either definitely asleep in the passenger seat, or you guys have convinced her to, pull over for a second so you can go to the bathroom in the bushes. And so you guys can roll shoot the shit with each other. Who's shooting the shit with who?
I think Kinsey will shoot the shit with Pax.
Okay, I got Roland.
It's always so tough. I want to shoot the shit and complete the triangle, but I also want to continue manipulating this gang into killing itself.
I will say Cho is not on the table for this. She is, any attempts to talk to her, she just silent treatment. And then a lot of it she's asleep when you would have time to chat.
Okay. So Pax, you picked me?
Yep.
Cool. Then I'll take Kinsey.
All right. Personality, right?
Yes, it is a personality test. Also, all of you can have a grip for surviving a life or death situation.
Pull up.
And Roland, you can have another grit for surprising me by the fact that you decided right then to be like, yeah, let's kill Miguel now.
I don't want them to have allies as I manipulate them into killing themselves.
Sorry, the target is +4, correct?
Yes.
I don't believe it.
Okay, so who wants to go first? I'll roll for it. I'll do it.
Usually I have some idea of what I might say.
Right.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I say roll for it. Roll for it.
All right. I have to think. Roland, you gotta go first.
Thanks. Jerk.
I rolled for it.
Yeah, and then you decided what it meant.
No, I knew that it went Pax, Roland, and Kinsey because that is the order on my screen. But I had to figure out who was in the second bracket because of how I'm rolling a d20 and splitting it 3 ways.
Yeah, okay. Well, I got 4 hits, so we friends now, Kinsey.
Right.
Okay. So Kinsey and Roland bond over something at a certain point. Maybe it's you're in the back of the truck, so it could be at any point during the trip. If you're just kind of sitting in the back, the roaring engine, it's unlikely Cho will overhear you talking. And it's really, really unlikely that she'll hear you talking if you are doing it while she's asleep and Pax is driving.
Sure. So, what's your sort of pie in the sky? Everything works out okay here.
Well, suppose I haven't really thought about it too much. Would like to not be killed by the family. That would be wonderful. Not be killed by the Doomers gang, if you know what I'm saying. I suppose, clear my name. And if I can't clear my name, go somewhere where they can't find me and go back to trapping, I suppose, if I can. It's what I know how to do best.
Hold on, go back. Were you falsely accused?
Falsely accused? Well, clear my name in as much as, I have nobody following me. I'm not going to say that I was innocent. I will say I think my actions were justified. But that depends on the perspective that you're looking at it from.
Sure, but in the eyes of the law.
Oh, guilty as sin. What can I say?
Okay, I thought we'd just sort of overlooked a sort of major feature of your history, Kinsey. But a lot's been happening. It's regrettable that seems possible.
Yes.
That sounds nice for you. I wouldn't like to be a trapper, but for you, that sounds very nice.
Oh, you spend years doing a thing, you get used to it, you get good at it. It seems to be the thing you'd like to do. What is your thing that you're good at? Other than talking, obviously.
Well, I guess if I'd had sort of more of a base under me, I think I'd be a good politician.
Politician, really?
Like a mayor, or maybe a governor. Who's to say?
Do you stick to the city life, or are you looking for something a smaller town?
Oh, it's not so much. I don't know. It's just what I'm good at is getting people to agree with me, even when they don't. And I think that set of skills is useful when you're trying to run a society, but I hadn't really thought about what might happen after if everything goes well. Never really done anything for more than like a year or two. But I've done a lot of things for a year or two.
Jack of all trades, you might say.
Well, depending on who you ask, yes.
But a politician, so you would be leading society towards the good. That's something I could get behind. Well, assuming you are leading society towards the good and not only for your own means, are you just trying to be a politician for the power of it?
No, I don't know. That seems boring. And such a relatively small amount of power for the tremendous amount of work to maintain your station.
Well put.
I just, I think if I really look at my skill set, and if I took like a survey on what job should you do, I could be mayor. I could be a good mayor, even. I think. I know enough to know when a problem is real, and I'm good enough at convincing people to solve it.
Yes, I can see you being a good mayor. I like that on you. The ascot and the top hat, that sort of thing. As someone with perpetual foot-in-mouth disease, I don't think that that would be a path for me, but it might be nice knowing a mayor,
Yeah, it's probably got its perks. Hold on, do you think a top hat and an ascot is a mayor's uniform?
Is that not what they wear?
And I think
overcoat, smoking jacket, with a kind of cigar type thing, all standing on podiums and the like, gesturing broadly.
And I think our conversation just sort of goes back and forth over what do mayors look like?
All right. So, Kinsey, you got one hit.
Yes, that's right.
And you picked Pax.
I did.
All right. So, Pax gets to learn something about you. This would definitely be during a moment before Cho went to sleep, or way later when Cho woke up outside of Lily Ridge to continue driving. But more likely, it's like as maybe Cho's getting ready to go to sleep, and you guys have pulled over, and you're taking turns relieving yourselves in the woods. There's a little bit of time where Cho's clearing out some of the undercarriage of the car because she's she doesn't not trust Pax, but she's handing the wheel over to someone she only barely knows, so she's just like making sure the car isn't. She's doing like a once over on the car to make sure it's given back to her in the same condition.
Sure.
So yeah, Pax, you get to learn something about Kinsey.
I want to learn about Kinsey. Kinsey, any thoughts?
I don't have any thoughts other than origin, I suppose, but if there's something else you'd like to know about Kinsey,
Sure. Why'd you shoot at the marshal?
Well, I'm trying to keep up the facade as best I can. I'm not used to this sort of disguise and skullduggery type thing. I thought maybe not trying to hurt her, but getting her incapacitated would discourage our teammates from injuring her further. Clearly, that was an incongruous gambit on my part.
I mean, it's all right. You couldn't have known.
No. Luckily, I didn't get her very well. I think that she was still able to have the momentum so that she didn't at least burn to death, which is nice.
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to keep our cover up.
I don't think it was a bad idea. I wanted to know if you were trying to set her up or if you were trying to. I mean, it hasn't even been a week. Well, I guess it's been pretty much a week now.
Just about, yes.
But it could at any time, anybody could decide, to betray our cause.
Cause?
Well, in this case, it's less of a cause and more of a let's get out of here. But the colloquialism probably still stands, right?
I understood it. Just thought it was a strong choice of words. Cause.
Well, causes are much easier to rally behind.
But they can get you in trouble.
Yeah. I heard maybe they got you in trouble a little bit.
Well, going on my way to Lonestead for hanging, just for being involved with radical conservationists, it starts to stick in your craw just a little bit. But I don't think that all causes are evil or bad.
I mean, you'd be surprised. I think we have more in common than you think.
Hey, we gotta get a move on. Let me show you how this thing it goes to the left a little bit when you're off-roading. So let me show you the suspension.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
All right, and then Pax, you picked Roland, and how many successes did you get?
One.
All right.
Oh, secrets of Pax. All right.
So.
Sorry, that's by me. Somebody does not have a muffler.
Oh no, it's the rest of the Dead Man's Gang.
You guys hit the road.
Pax, why did you betray us? That's my shit.
Yeah, I don't know. When do you guys think you have an opportunity to speak to each other? There is a point outside Lily Ridge where Cho wakes up, and you guys are about 3 or 4 hours outside of Lily Ridge, and she wakes up and wants to take over. So I suppose there could be a point where you guys pull over there.
Yeah, I think probably I'll climb through the back after we switch after a little while. Just be like, I need to stretch my legs. I gotta stand up.
Okay.
Let's trade seats. Why not?
All right. So Kinsey, you climb in with Cho.
Nice.
And Pax and Roland are in the bed of the truck. And Roland, you get to learn something about Pax.
Sure. I think I start having a sort of innocuous conversation just to be extremely sure that Cho is not listening. And then maybe even like slip in some things that she might find questionable, but not like murder worthy, just to really make sure.
Honestly, I think, remember how earlier I said like Cho is just like silent treatment? I don't think Kinsey gets that at first. Right?
Oh, perfect.
Right, Kinsey? He's kind of talkative. Do you at
right.
all try to talk to Cho?
Probably pretty much immediately, yes.
Yeah.
So this Lily Ridge here, does it have any furriers? Perhaps I could sell some of my wares to. You know, I've still got this skunk ape horn. Got to get rid of it. Got its gland too. Got to be careful. You can't keep them for too long, and they start to rot.
Like there's a bump in the road. Like, whoa. Yeah, so I think Kinsey's talking at her at a certain point, and that plus the engine roaring, and you being in the back of the bed, you're pretty confident after you drop a couple things. Like she's like toning out everything right now.
Sure. So once it's clear, how did the marshal know about Miguel?
I told her.
Okay. Did you tell her other things? It's fine.
She knew most of it already. She saw the wanted posters. She couldn't help us.
Okay.
I thought maybe, she could get you and Kinsey out of some of the mess you're in. Shave off some years, maybe even. But we're not even in her territory. So she said, get out of Dodge.
And you told her that Miguel was on the boat.
Yeah.
All right. I don't mind particularly. It's just I wish he'd told me that.
You left.
There were other opportunities.
Not ones that I felt like were safe without people listening.
Okay.
And I told her about the marshal that the Dead Man's Gang has. They think he's dead, so
Sure.
they don't know that now I guess they might know if she doesn't die, that they're alive, he's alive, and that it's definitely an ambush. But again, she doesn't have jurisdiction here.
That's good thinking. I'd rather as many people come prepared to shoot every single one of them.
Did you kill Miguel?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell Kinsey about the box?
No. I didn't know I sort of feel like we probably could, but the opportunity hasn't really come up yet, and I was sort of waiting for a time when we could be alone. And now that I think about it, I just sort of talked about what he might do if all this works out. That would have been a great opportunity. Yeah, I think maybe I'm still a little bit in shock on account of the murder.
So, I guess if we're doing that now, we're framing the family for Cho, right?
It's certainly on the table.
Okay.
I'd like to. None of my grifts end in people dead, typically. But as a general rule of thumb, I try to keep an eye towards an end goal and just sort of follow whatever path feels right to get there in the moment. And sometimes, the end goal is a little bit different. It's sort of, a lot of people won't tell you this, but grifting is like jazz, really.
Okay. Listen, all I really want is to know what we're doing. Are we if we're being the heroes or not? How much do we have to dismantle? Let's
Pie in the sky, they all kill each other. But when there's more than one of them together, they back each other up. It makes it harder to convince them that they can't trust any of them. I saw an opportunity, and I took it.
okay. Are you mad?
No. Why would I be mad?
I don't know. Telling the marshal.
No, I mean, listen, I prefer to be kept in the loop, but information, no information, tools, no tools, warning, no warning. Chaos is where I live.
I'll keep that in mind.
We're here. And you see there's a mountain range that you've gotten pretty close to and nestled right at like the base of where like the rocky terrain starts. The sun is starting to rise. It's purple and red in the sky, and you see the lights of a relatively decent sized settlement. You see the LRC tower. You see a few different side roads. It kind of like branches out, like almost like a snowflake pattern. And you just keep moving your way towards it. And that's where we'll end our session. Hey,
That
guys.
was stressful.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on, and a lot of decisions had to be made in the heat of the moment. Yeah. Well, I think you guys did good. What do you guys in the chat think? You think they did good, or maybe not like good?
Now give us validation, damn it.
Well. Well.
We did well for sure. Good? Maybe.
Questionable.
Yeah. So we don't have any questions in the Discord, I don't think. I'm just gonna double check, make sure. Nope. We did forget to start the stream with any announcements, but I don't think we have any except for, is there a GM Styles this week, Addie?
Yes, there is a GM Styles on Friday at 8 p.m. You should watch it because it's going to be great.
Yeah. For those of you who are not aware, GM Styles is a super cool show that Addie does where she talks about the latest in like RPG news and then moves on to kind of discuss tips and tricks for that you can bring to your table as a GM, whether you are a new GM or a veteran GM. And then she also takes questions from the viewers, as well as people are able to submit questions using the hashtag Dear Addie, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can use hashtag Dear Addie on social media, and she'll source that before she goes on the air to answer your questions. Or, of course, if you're in the Discord, you can post there. And if you're watching right now, we got that chat somewhere. I actually don't know where it is in relation to me. There.
It's to your left. Everything you might do is to your left.
Fine, the chat's over there.
Listen, if you point people to the right, all of the buttons take them somewhere else.
Anyways, there's the chat over there. You can post any questions you may have, either about the session that we just did, about future sessions that may come, about the characters they're playing, about Manifest the RPG,
About our personal lives.
about
Seth might answer those ones.
yeah. If you have any questions, now would be the time to shoot them through. I don't think we have any other announcements, except, of course, that we'll be back again next week, same day, same time. We'll see what these three drifters get themselves into next. A lot of consequences happened this time.
So the chat says that we did a good job.
Yay! Thanks, chat.
Validation.
And if chat says it, it's true. So.
And
yeah, it doesn't look like there are any questions at the moment. So I think that's it.
Okay. Keep an eye on the Discord and social media, and specifically the Kickstarter page. We have some updates that are going to be coming soon for all of you as we continue production on this RPG that you helped us make. We're super excited. We got some cool stuff. Just waiting for the final touches, that kind of thing. Yeah, with that little teaser. I don't have anything else to do or any more vamping I can do. So I think if there's no more questions, we are good to sign off for the night.
Well, thank you guys so much. And we will see you, if not on Friday with me at GM Styles, next week at 8 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.